Welcome everyone to Poker Guys Tourney Journey, where we walk the walk. We go down the path with one of us as we play an online poker tournament. This is the $125 Nitrogen Sports Poker Saturday noon tournament called the PDX Meadows Tournament. It is one that has still just started. We're still in the first blind level. It's 100-100. We started with 20,000 chips. You'll see two to my left is Grant, actually, who's doing well. He's already up to 31,000. But who cares about that guy? We're here to talk about me.
I'm here too. I want to talk. I want to
Fine.
talk about our avatars for a second. Look at these things. We have custom avatars. These are disgusting.
Yours is significantly worse than mine, I'm happy to say.
Yeah, well, neither of them look great, but
yours looks ridiculous.
Whatever. Let's get to the poker. Let's see you make some mistakes.
Okay, so here we are. We're ace queen at this level. You see under the gun over here, limped under the gun, and PDX Liz is +1. She is a tournament reg. She's a very aggressive player. I decided to just call with my ace queen.
Oh, you're lucky I didn't enter that hand. That would have been hell for you.
It's hell for me now, Grant. All right, we flop really, really well.
Nice flop.
So knowing what we know about PDX Liz, we would expect her to continue on this board almost always. This is me jumping back and forth because I was still in a free roll at the same time. So we're going to see that happen a little bit in this hand. Don't freak out. All right, so she bets. I feel like I have a very clear just call against her specifically, where she's the type of person who can double and triple barrel on certain boards.
I mean, also you get in a really awkward spot if you raise and there's more action with this stack depth. I think it makes a lot of sense to call.
No question about it. I mean, it is a wet-ish board where I could be repping diamonds or something like that. But this hand plays so well as a call anyway in position. It just feels like super straightforward.
She did bet exactly half pot, meaning she likely hit that half pot button. Does that indicate anything to you about a player if you see them do that repeatedly?
Yes, repeatedly, absolutely. To me, that says they are not thinking about ways they can take advantage of sizing, where they can save money sometimes or get more value sometimes or deny equity better sometimes. So, yeah. Liz continues again. And as you can see, I'm already moving I'm pausing it here, my mouse over the call button because I have a plan, and the plan is basically don't fold to Liz if I have a hand this good in this spot, period.
I don't think you can fold to anybody with this hand in this spot unless you know completely that they're never betting without an overpair, which seems impossible. It's just when she bets again and her early position to start the hand, it gets a little scary, but it's just one of those hands where you're obligated to call, in my opinion. And then, of course, raising seems out of the question also.
Of course. I'm even talking about my plan is already to call all the way down on this, unless the King of Diamonds comes or some horrific card. There's very few cards that are really problematic for me, though. Maybe the 5 of Diamonds is really bad, too. But there's almost no cards I'm not going to call all the way down on this board with. That's the plan.
Makes sense.
So she bets 22, which is 2/3 a pot. So she didn't hit half pot that time. A beautiful, super clean card comes in. We're losing a 3-5 only.
Maybe deuce if she decided to double barrel with that.
Sure. Of course, there are other things we're losing to, but where the deuce is a problem. I guess you're right. Deuce, 3-5 suited, which I don't think she can really have anyway. She might not even be able to have deuce here. I don't know. Anyway, she checks, and now we got an interesting spot where it feels like we just have to bet a hand this good.
I think most of the time she's going to bet kings a third time. It's not a super scary run out for her unless you were still playing a set. So I think it's pretty obligatory for her to bet kings, meaning that it's pretty obligatory for you to bet this when she checks to you.
Yeah.
The question is, do you want to size it to try to get called by a hand like nines, or do you want to size it up and make it look bluffy?
I think both are reasonable. I like making things look bluffy. If she has 2 10s here, it's a weird spot. And I don't know if I get called more if I size it up or if I size it down if she has 2 10s. So I size it down. It looks like I'm trying to get called when I have a queen. If I size it up, maybe I'm trying to get her to fold. I don't know how many levels we're going to go here,
Right.
So, yeah. So it's a close one, honestly. As you see, I start here at 38, and I think about it, and I drop down to 31. So I over half pot and I go to under half pot. She folds anyway. But thought it was an interesting spot.
All right, looks like we're a lot deeper in the tournament now.
Yeah, we're 2 hours into the tournament, almost, or an hour and a half into the tournament. As you see, I'm at 19,000, so things have not gone super well. Just breaking even here.
Looks like I'm doing okay up there in the upper left there.
Yep,
41,000. Look at
that's
that
pretty good. That's
beautiful
pretty good.
avatar and beautiful stack.
We'll see who goes deeper in this tournament, though. Spoiler alert,
Sometimes
it's
things
me.
are out of the control of the people who are good at stuff.
So here I am. Just ignore that. This is our last free roll hand. Free roll is going to come in a little bit. We got ace king under the gun. It's a very straightforward open.
No antes yet, I notice.
Right. We're not coming for another 2 levels. We do get the call. Flop pretty well.
Pretty well. A little scary, but pretty well.
I mean, yeah.
You'll take it.
Definitely thrilled to have this flop.
Are you intimidated to be against a person of the cow type variety? Like
always.
She
Wolf
looks like
tickets
she
bets
could
half
really
pot here.
herd a cow.
Just donks out half pot on this board. To me, this feels like super straightforward as a call only.
Yeah, I don't see any value in raising. Maybe if you guys were a lot shallower, just raise to try to get it in. But at this point, I think calling is the only option.
If Wolf tickets had like 4,400 total chips and bet 1,000, I just move her in or him in or whoever. Capture value from the draws and worse hands and stuff. I figure we're getting it in whenever I'm beat anyway, but feels like a super straightforward call. And I make the call.
Pretty. You keep getting these bricky deuces. What's up with that?
Yep. And I get a check.
That's beautiful.
Feels like a super straightforward bet.
Sucks to get check raised, but yeah, I think so. You can get called by hands like King X.
Usually, I think the really strong hands are just going to bet again. The hands that are beating me are usually going to bet again once they bet the flop.
Right. And you could be up against a flush draw or a 10 that decided to take the lead on the flop.
Absolutely. Okay, we jumped over, but just ignore this. Just ignore this free roll stuff for a second because we're back to the important thing. We got called, and here we go. We make the nuts on the river.
Well,
Let's
it seems
go.
like it's going to be tough to get any value in this spot.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But then, look at this. Look at this. Pot size bet. We have only one decision, obviously.
Obviously, you have to move in.
It feels dumb because I feel like we're always chopping, but whatever. Got to move in anyway.
Seems a lot like you're always chopping.
Super straightforward, easy spot for me. So I take a little time, I move in, and I don't get insta called, but I do get called. And we're not chopping, Grant.
Wow.
We're not chopping.
That seems impossible.
Give me all the damn chips, Grant. I'll take them all.
Guess that player had a 9 or a frustrated 2 pair?
Yeah, I don't know, man. A 9, a set of 10s? I don't even know. Maybe makes a set of 10s on the river? Super weird. Anyway, we're a little further along now, and I've got a reasonable chip stack suddenly.
Same level. Looks like pretty soon after.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 minutes later, I think, something like that.
I hope you get in a hand with the guy on your left because I want to talk about his name.
Whittle Baby 12.
Whittle Baby.
So here we go. We have a limp from trying to make it. And if you remember, even from the first hand we showed with PDX Liz and the Ace Queen, trying to make it limped under the gun, trying to make it likes to limp.
So it looks like you 5-exit here. You're really trying to put the pressure on. No antes.
Yep. I'm happy to just to take it down right now. I'm happy to play this hand in position against trying to make it. Of course, I'm really looking to either get it in or get a fold. But instead, I get a call.
Which is strange with the chip stack of your opponent.
Yeah. So now it's time to pray for folds and size it down.
Yeah. Hope you don't get jammed on by a diamond draw. Oh, you got called.
Yeah. So now it's time to give it up.
Yeah, I don't think
we're getting a fold anymore.
Oh.
Here's a spot.
Interesting. I guess you just go for it. You hope that they have a jack and decide to call because they're so short.
Yeah, maybe they could have turned a king high flush or something like that. It's weird. It's hard to come up. It's a weird spot. I guess I could be called by the nut flush draw sometimes. Anyway, I move them in. Get called and win.
All right.
Probably a jack.
Probably a jack, yeah.
Because trying to make it so short there, it's a pretty easy move in on the river. But it's nice to be able to leverage sort of the stack stuff. Now you see trying to make it just rebuys right away. So I just get some chips, which is super sweet.
Well, you lost some, it looks like. And
okay. We're up another level or two now. We're at 300, 600.
Looks like 300.
300, 500, excuse me. My mistake.
Trying to make it going to call here.
No. Make it not going to call. So here's an interesting spot where we have Hendo who opens. Hendo's got 21 blinds. And we have a caller in PDX Danny. So I think we have two reasonable options here, right? We can put in a 3-bet with the intention of getting it in with Hendo, or we can just flat.
Yeah, I think I typically defer to flatting here. It depends on Hendo. Do you know anything about Hendo at this point?
I don't remember, honestly. I think I did, but I don't remember what it was. It's too far gone.
Yeah, I think I'd defer to flatting because the implied odds are there due to PDX Danny being in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it okay. And I don't love the range you're typically going to be getting it in against Hendo when Hendo does decide to go with it. I don't think you're doing well against that range. So I don't know. Of course, it's nice to take it down pre-flop as well, but I kind of like playing the hand at face value and just taking a flop.
I mean, it's not a terrible point. There is a meaty 3150 already in there, which sometimes we just get to take.
Yeah, okay, Antonio Esfandiari, whatever.
and of course, also, we can get it in against Hendo and have the best hand. As well as I expect we're getting it at least against Ace King, Ace Queen, maybe some other aces.
Yeah.
Maybe some other hands too. Who knows? Maybe sevens once in a while are going to go with it because it's 22 blinds.
If it's a miracle, sure.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, it sounds like you're going to raise.
I decide to raise this because he's got 21 blinds, and I can afford it. I can afford to be wrong. So I make it 5,000 with the intention of never folding. Clearly, I'm going to fold to Danny's shove.
Yeah, if Danny back raises, I think you're out of here.
But Danny's never going to back raise. Come on. Hendo moves in. Danny folds. I call, and this time anyway, it was bad.
Well, the 10's no good.
Oh yeah, 10 no good, man. I had 2 outs the whole way and do not hit. I almost hit on the river. If we pretend that a card that is close to an 8 counts as being close, just ignore that chat stuff up top. It'll go away soon, I promise. All right, so here we are again. Now we've been cut down. Now it's not as good, but it's sometimes you got to go for it. We got a limp from trying to make it again. I've got ace 8 off again against trying to make it, and I raise again. Because I'm all about punishing the limpers.
Seems like trying to make it limps a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen 3 of my hands that I've cut out of all this stuff, and we've seen him limp at least 3 times. It's kind of crazy. Out of like 6 or 7 hands we've watched, he's been like limping in half of them. Hey, look, we completely missed. Again.
You always have ace 8, huh?
I know, it's weird. Anyway, this is a good board though for me to continue on. I think, even though there's a bunch of gutters and stuff like that, I can size it up in such a way that, I can bet enough that he shouldn't be really calling with gut shots and stuff. He does call. He
got snap called.
Yeah, not good. I think we should give up again. So I check.
Oh, you rivered the 8.
Yeah, I rivered the 8. So let's say, assuming trying to make it checks here, and I'm going to give you a spoiler alert, trying to make it checks here. Should we bet for value or should we check?
I check. I think I check. Like, there's too many 9s in his range, maybe even kings.
Yeah, it's also hard to think of that many hands that can call that are worse than an 8. Maybe you can have 7, 8 and decide to hero, but that's like my best case scenario, I think.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear check back.
Yeah. So, pretty sure trying to make it checks. I remember having this thought process of like, what do I want to do? Yeah, so he does. I check right away, as you see, and get a miracle win.
Wow.
He's limping with ace 10 off.
And owning you on the flop.
It's true. Hey, look, he limps again. Guess what? That's what we do.
What's going to happen?
We're going to raise. I decided to change it up size-wise here because I had made it 23. I had 4.5 exit last time because he's calling, I feel like, with whatever he's doing it with. So I feel like it's not as important to make it big.
I don't hate making it big, though, because you have an advantage of of being the guy as the aggressor who gets to win post flop if you both miss a lot. So you just get to win more when he always calls.
That's fair. It also maybe invites Hendo in a little bit more by my sizing.
It sure does, yeah. But trying to make it folds. Wow.
Yeah, super weird. Hendo calls trying to make it folds, and we flop quite well.
Yeah.
Quite well indeed.
I guess we're just going with it, even though it's a very dynamic board that Hendo hits a lot.
Yeah, I can think of hands. I mean, we're obviously never in that bad shape, right? Can't be that bad, no matter what happens.
Like Queen X of spades is not great for you.
Nope. But, how often am I really up against Queen X of spades, really? And then, like, obviously a set isn't great either. And two pair isn't great, But, okay. Hey, we get raised, and he doesn't have that many chips, so I agree. I'm clearly going for it. I just immediately put all the money in. Hendo has to call, and he does have me in sort of the worst spot.
Got the Queen X of spades.
Yeah.
And
you were sitting there watching this at the time, so maybe some part of you knew it.
Maybe some part of me did know it and was rooting against you.
So now I'm down to 23 blinds, where I was, but we see I've chipped up since then as we go all the way up to the 600, 1200 thing. So who can remember? But it's been a few hours. This is a key hand, though, I'll tell you what. And here I am against Hendo again, that bastard.
Looks like you have a nemesis.
Yeah. So now that we have an ante in there, I feel like this is a pretty easy raise.
And you're sizing it up because it's small blind to big blind. You would never choose the sizing on the button or any other position, right?
Correct. Obviously, I'm folding to a re-raise unless it's tiny. He calls. And we flop sort of interesting. In a Jack 10, 2 diamond board when we have 7-10.
Yeah, so we can go into check call mode and not put ourselves in the position of getting raised by draws and blown off the best hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of a scary spot. I mean, you're not denying any equity, of course, but there's not going to be a ton of hands in Hendo's range that have 2 overcards to your hand. Like Ace Queen and Ace King are mostly raises pre-flop. King Queen might even be a raise pre-flop as well for Hendo.
Might be, might not be. We don't know. Yeah.
So I don't think there's as much to protect against as it would seem, as it feels. So I think it's okay to go into check call mode here.
Yeah. I decided to check. As you can see, my mouse is over that check button, and I am going to check, trying to keep his range really wide here. And the problem is, of course, stack to pot wise, we can get it in really easily if he just triple barrels. Like, we're going to be all in by the river.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of runouts where you can decide not to get it in.
Of course. Anyway, he does bet a little more than half pot. I feel like I have a very straightforward call. You see my mouse is on there right away. We turn an absolute nothing card. And I have what I think is a really clear check again. And, if he checks, the hand gets really easy. If he bets, it's not as easy.
No, if he bets, depending on your history with this player, you could sometimes fold.
So he's thinking for a while here, and I'm like, as he's thinking, I remember this thinking like, I think I'm just calling. I think I'm just not folding this hand. Like, I played this hand. I really engineered this spot. I can't really fold yet. So I call, and look at the stack to pot now.
Yeah.
It's a super sick. It's 1-2.
And that 7 doesn't help you at all. It actually hurts in case you had 8-9.
Exactly. Like 8-9 comes in. Nothing else comes in, but 8-9 comes in. It's not ideal. I don't block 8-9 in any way, of course. But we're at 1-2 stack to pot. I'm kind of, I don't know, man. Like, I'm sort of hoping he just checks it.
Yeah. Hey, but 7's full. That's nice.
Would you say? Yeah, that's the one thing I block. But I don't know if he'd really go bet with 7's full, and I don't know if he wouldn't re-raise pre-flop with pocket 7s.
That is
still
a good point.
I blocked Jack 7. Anyway, he moves in, and I call pretty quickly. Yeah, I had already by the time I checked, I decided I'm just not going to fold.
So you must have history with this player.
Not a huge amount. It was more about the situation than the history. I mean, I've been playing here I played with him for the last few hours, so I guess I've seen him be a little squirrely, but I don't think I'd seen him triple barrel or anything like that, quite frankly. It was more like, I've played this hand this way. There aren't that many better hands I'm going to play this way. There are a few. There are other 10s, basically. That's like it. Maybe pocket 7s, maybe pocket 4s once in a while, but like, there's just not too much. So I just decided I've engineered this spot like so he can bluff it off to me. Like if he's got bluffs, I've kept his range as wide as humanly possible by checking on all three streets. It seems a little crazy to fold. So I decided to call, knowing that it's possible I'm making a really bad play here.
Yeah, that's
knowing that I might just be out.
I guess you reduced his jack combos by making it 4K pre-flop. He shouldn't have hands like jack 5 offsuit anymore, I suppose.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I don't know if he even has like bad suited jacks. I'm not sure. Maybe. I 3.5x'd it, and we're not super deep. I don't know. Maybe he does, but I mean, he's going to play all his jacks like this. He's going to play 8-9 like this. That's kind of it, though, right?
So I guess you
win. Fours, maybe.
I guess you win, right? Because we're talking about this tournament.
He has 6-9 of diamonds, so he flopped the diamond draw, and it's possible if I had bet the hand and played it different. I'm just going to pause for a second. He might have gotten me off the hand with the 6-9 of diamonds, because he can raise, and it's much harder for me to call now when I bet and he raises. I think. Anyway.
So now there's 6 remaining players. This is everybody who's left in the tournament.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're already at the final table. Yeah, that hand actually is what took us to the final table because he busted. We went to 10-handed, and now here we are a little bit later. To give everyone a sense, even though we're at the final table, there was a weird thing which they've since fixed on Nitrogen where only 3 places get paid. Third place is a 9x of your buy-in, though. So third place is a lot. Third place is like, $1,200 or something like that. Definitely worth winning. And so even though we're at 6 left on the final table, only half of us are going to get paid. So it's an interesting spot, and it's going to, there's potentially some weird bubble stuff in play. Anyway, here I am. I've got a super obvious
something like 4,000. Is that right?
What'd you say?
First is something like 4,000.
It is, yeah. I think it's more like 3,000 actually. I think the payouts are. By the way, look at this flop.
Wow.
Watch what happens. Watch what Danny does. He just folds. He doesn't even let me see bet.
Oh my God.
It is literally the best flop I have the entire tournament. And he just open folds it.
He accidentally clicked the button? Do you think he accidentally
No, he explained he accidentally he didn't mean to call pre-flop. He had 3-6 offsuit, and so he just insta-folded. Didn't even let me potentially bluff at it, man. The hell? So messed up. So the payouts in this tournament are something like 1,200, 1,800, 3,000.
Okay.
Just so we know. So here we are, 6 left.
That's a disappointing one.
Right there. That was rough. That was a rough one. Here we are with the ace jack. Now you see we're down 5-handed. I have one of the smaller stacks. There's 3 of us with around 100K, and then the 2 big stacks over there. PDX Danny's going to fold, and it's me against Kerry. Or it will be in a moment because he ain't going to fold. All right, let's start right here. So, Kerry, just to give everyone a sense, Kerry's someone both you and I know really well. We play with him a lot. He's a thinking player. He's a successful player. He's a good player. So, he's someone where I can do certain things against that I can't do other. I can like play a little bit more level mind game stuff with than I can against some other players. So, he checks to me. And I put up a 2,000 chip bet and decide to check back my nut flush draw here because it's going to be incredibly hard for him to put me on the ace of clubs when I check. And I know this.
True.
And there are some players where that's just not the case, but he's a guy who will absolutely know that it's very unlikely I have the ace of clubs now. So I do that on purpose. Of course, this is the problem.
Yeah.
When I check is now when I miss the turn and he bets, I'm obviously not going to fold, but now I can lose this hand.
You could easily have the best hand still.
Of course. I can have the best hand. I certainly have the best draw. I have position. I have lots of good things going for me. I'm even getting a good price to draw. Even if we think about it just from that point of view, I'm getting the right price to draw to my flush, even if nothing else is good. Even if he's got a set or something, I'm pretty much good here to make the call. Anyway, so I call. We river the 9 of spades.
Not a beauty.
No, not the greatest card. And Kerry bets kind of big. He bets almost, like 2/3 pot almost. Thoughts?
So now you're thinking that you can call because Kerry is capable of bluffing here. The problem is you block his most likely bluff.
I sure do.
And I think he's the type of player who can choose this sizing on turn and river with any king that he would play.
Yep, I agree. No, I think he's got too much value here to call.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially with the way he sizes it, and he knows like when I check back the flop and I call the turn, I have a lot of jacks and tens and queens and stuff like that with a plan to call the river a lot. I think he knows that. So I think calling is a mistake. So I don't call because it seems bad. I think about it. You see my mouse is all over the place. And I said, you know what? Let's go for the glory. We have the ace of clubs in our hand.
All right. I like this.
I think he is a really good opponent to do this against. Now, the problem is, as he's now thinking, he's got a lot of chips and he can afford just to call to see if he's right or not. You know what I mean?
And he's going to call with a king a fair amount of the time because you did the deceptive check back on the flop.
At the same point, he's never going to put me on this play, the old ace of clubs blocker play, because I check back the flop. So it looks like I have value almost always, which is the good news. You know, like it looks like I have 7-8, or maybe I flop the flush or something like that, and he ultimately does fold.
Kamikaze works.
He types in 4 deuce. Okay, so here we are. Now we're four-handed. You see, Liz is our extreme short stack.
And you're on the bubble here. This is the $1,200 bubble.
Yeah, that's right. Liz has 23 blinds there on the short stack. I still feel like I just have to defend with king 9 of clubs, though.
Of course, of course.
And we flop a flush draw.
Well, this kind of sucks on the bubble.
It's an interesting spot. Now, let me say, actually, let's let Danny do what he's going to do here. I've played with Danny at this tournament. I played with Danny outside this tournament too, but certainly in this tournament, he did some very straightforward things, meaning when he would raise pre-flop, he raised very wide on the button, like super wide. He'd turn over, jack 6 and things like that sometimes. He would always c-bet. Like always, maybe 95% c-bet percentage or something like that, maybe higher. So to me, this c-bet means nothing at all. So I'm obviously not going to fold anyway. The question is, how do I want to play it? Right?
Right. He could bully you off of this hand. I mean, like
easily.
If you raise and he 3-bets, I think you have to fold because of the bubble situation. This is, as you said, a 9x bubble. It was a $125 buy, and the bubble's $1,200. It's crazy.
Agreed. At the same point, it feels kind of weak and bad to just call here. Maybe king high is barely good enough to do that with, but I think I like a raise also because then that sort of puts the bubble situation back in my favor, where he's like, God, he's raising on the bubble. That feels pretty strong.
True.
You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. I ultimately decide that I should put in a raise because I just think he's so wide. I don't want to get blown off this hand on the turn if I just check call, which I think is going to happen a lot. If he just sizes it up and I miss, I'm just screwed. So I make a smallish raise to fold out all his crap, and he insta calls. So
he called very quickly, kind of with a lot of players, not everybody. That's a tell that they don't want you to keep betting. They're trying to say like, hey, stop it.
Yeah, right. I think he could have 8s. I think he could have like 9, 10. He obviously could have a jack. Maybe he has some gutters because he's got so many chips. I don't know. So anyway, here we are on the turn with the 4 of spades.
I guess you kind of have to go for it.
Seems like I have to continue, right? I just have to. The interesting thing is if I continue, let's say I bet like 24,000 here or something like that, and he gets called, I'm probably going to have to continue a lot on the river, right? Even when I miss. I'm just going to have to fire away on a lot of rivers, I think.
Well, it depends on your sizing. If you go big here, you can give up on rivers.
That's true. I think generally what I'll do is I'll go small here and fire a big on a lot of rivers anyway. Anyway, so here I am. Let's see how I size it. Oh, I decided to go big here. Oh, wait. No, I'm trying to decide. I'm all in between, actually. I end up going about half pot.
You went medium.
Yeah. It's like, fold everything that isn't a jack right now, please.
Danny's the type of guy, I've played with Danny before. He might call with an 8. Oh, you got raised. But
instead I get raised.
Call. It's such a tiny raise. You have to call.
It's a tiny raise, but it's kind of a terrible spot. Situationally, if I call here and miss, which I'm going to mostly do, right? We're going to be down to like 90K.
That's still 30 blinds.
It is 30 blinds. I mean, it's a really bad spot. I didn't know what to do, honestly.
32K to win 139K. I think you have to call.
I don't always. I don't know. Sometimes I get there and lose.
That's true.
The kind of hand he would raise here is a hand that I might get there and lose with, which means the nut flush draw, of course, when I say that.
That's true. I don't know. The sizing just makes it like, I think mathematically you are supposed to call. I understand your reasoning if you want to fold.
Dude, as soon as he raised, I'm like, the bubble makes me really want to fold now, especially the size of this bubble where I want to keep a real amount of chips between me and Liz. You know, I don't want to creep towards Liz. I want there to be a clear difference between us so that way I can make different kinds of plays against her. You know, she can't bring as much pressure to bear on me. So I was really not thrilled about this and didn't know what to do. It was sort of back and forth because the price is amazing. I'm out of position. I think if I'm in position, I call, but I decide to fold because I'm out of position. I feel like it's hard to get value if I get there. So there's very little implied odds. Sometimes I'm drawing. Sometimes I get there and get screwed and bust out on the bubble, which is awful. So I just decided to let it go to maintain my chip lead over Liz in this sort of insanely big bubble spot. You know, when I say insanely big, I mean because the min cash is not like a 2 and a 2.5x; it's a 9x cash.
Yeah,
which is so weird and unusual that it made. I think if it's normally like a 2.5x, you know, or a 2x or something like that, I would call for sure. If they're paying a $250, then I'm like, let's go. You know, it's fine. But this feels like I'm supposed to play. The ICM sort of demands I'm supposed to play a little tighter and a little differently. I think. I'm not sure.
I think I find a call there, but I understand your reasoning.
Yeah. Again, if the button's on me, I think I call because I think I can get more value more of the time, and it's harder for him to bluff the river. You know, and I could basically, you know, put in a big bet, maybe move in anytime he checks the river, even if I don't hit. Anyway, it's a weird spot, really weird spot. All right, so here we are with pocket sevens. This is basically like the next hand or two hands later. I'm going to open. Liz has got 22 blinds, and she moves in.
It's a good thing you added that 200 to your open.
I know, I always do that. So here we are. If we call this, we're going to be down to like 20 blinds. If we call and lose, if we call and win, we're in the money, and we are back to having a somewhat reasonable chip stack and have a better chance to win the tournament. Thoughts?
I'll tell you who's rooting for you to call. That would be Danny and Carrie.
Of course.
Yeah, I think this is a mandatory call, even though it's scary.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can see my mouse is already immediately goes to that call button. Feels like an easy call. Like I'm opening way, so many hands on the button. Pocket sevens is just way too good to do anything but call here. So I call right away. She's got queen jack. And she picks up some extra outs on the turn, but does miss happily.
All right.
And we are in the money.
Nice.
Feels great. Still, I am way behind these guys right now.
Not so far.
Oh, I picked up a little bit, I guess, since. So Danny opens the button. Carrie folds. What do you want to do here with our ace-9? Do you want to call or do you want to raise?
I mostly want to raise against a guy like Danny who's going to open all the buttons, and ace-9 blocks all of his aces. And it's not a great hand post-flop anyway. I mean, you flop an ace or a 9, you're probably just going to call 3 streets, which is a nice way to get some value. But I also like to add it into our 3-bet range in a spot like this.
Right on. I think against certain players, I'm going to call. Against Danny, it felt like a pretty clear raise. So I put in a big raise, 4x his open, and he calls.
Well,
now, Danny,
that's the problem.
Exactly. Now we're out of position with ace-9 off. It's not ideal.
No, it's not.
But that said, like we're going to win on a lot of C bets on flops, right? Like so often we're going to win there. Danny, though, and this is something I learned as I was playing these guys, is as we got 3-handed, Carrie would fold to my 3-bets, and Danny just wasn't going to fold the 3-bets. Danny didn't have any interest in that, so I started 3-betting him less and less. And Carrie, I would 3-bet more, and Danny, I 3-bet less because it just seemed like Carrie would fold and Danny wouldn't. So it's like I'd rather make a hand against Danny and, you know, play smaller pots. And Carrie, I'm happy to inflate the pot a little bit and just have him get the hell out of the way and pick stuff up. So as you see, we miss. Obviously, have to take a shot.
Yeah.
Rep kings here.
Pot's pretty big.
Yeah. We down bet. Hope he just throws away his king queen or something like that. He calls.
Oh, no.
Now we're in trouble. Look at the stacked pot.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have to check fold a lot, even though it's sort of a wet board. Like,
Doesn't
we
have
have a 9 to block some stuff.
Any king or queen, I think you need to continue.
Agreed. Especially that isn't a heart. But
Yeah.
probably even if it is a heart, I probably have to continue. A heart is a little tough.
He's going to raise flushes a lot. Ooh, 9 of hearts. Interesting card.
I know. So weird, right? What do you think we should do?
Check call.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what I decided to do. Like, you see, I actually go over the check button. I'm like, I mean, how can I bet this? I'm going to get, if he raises, I have to fold, right? It's awful.
And that card is more in his range than yours. So from a GTO
Yes.
perspective, it makes sense to check it.
So he bets, I call right away. He bets 34,000. I call.
At least he made it cheap.
Yep. River's
Not a great
the jack
card.
of diamonds. Like, come on, man. Now, maybe we were already drawing dead on the turn, admittedly, but this is a bad spot. And even though the pot is bigger than my stack, I think I'm going to have to just check fold if he bets any reasonable amount.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
You'd have to put him on just a complete whiff, like a 4-5 or something.
Yeah, there's almost nothing there at this point that he would decide to bet. But guess what? He has 4-5.
Whoa! I swear I didn't know that.
Whoops! I messed things up by clicking. I got so excited about him having 4-5. Hopefully, we won't go too far ahead. Here's the ace-9 hand. All right, good. We'll just watch it from here. Yeah. So, yeah, you didn't know that. I know you didn't. It's kind of great. Well, it's like kind of the only hand I can beat, and even 4-5 is. I mean, this sort of shows you why I'm not 3-betting Danny after this hand.
Yeah.
Right? It's like he called a 4-5 on the flop. It's a gutter. It's a bad gutter,
Well, he took a shot on the card that he's supposed to take a shot on the turn there.
Oh, I give him lots of credit for that, but I'm saying it's going to be hard to play this guy out of position when I 3-bet unless I have good hands, basically. So I just decided I'm just going to call a lot and not mess around. Luckily, he could not pull the trigger that time, and he actually lamented that in the chat right afterward. That he said, "I just couldn't do it." I was like, thank God, man. So now Danny's in third place, and me and Carrie are really close to each other for the chip lead, which is pretty sweet. And now comes the Queen-9 hand.
Okay,
I have so much sadness about this hand.
You called out of the big blind here?
Yeah, Danny opened as he did almost every button. I called with Queen-9. We flop top pair. That's what's up. Here we go. I check, of course. Danny bets half pot 100% of the time. He does again. I call.
Yep.
Seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
Okay. Here's where it gets interesting.
Ooh.
How about that card?
Well, still check call, I think. It's
well, here's the thing that I noticed, having played a lot of these against Danny now, is if I check called the flop, he checked back the turn an extremely high percentage of the time because he was so wide and just sort of he'd be giving up a lot. So, and then on this card specifically, I thought I could see him checking back 7s, 8s, 9s, 6s, 10s, pocket pairs. I could just see him checking back so much stuff when the third club comes also. So I just didn't want to give him a free card. So I decided to lead.
All right.
So let's see what happens.
It can put you in a weird spot. And
I know.
I'm guessing it's going to put you in a weird spot.
It's going to put me in a weird spot. I'll tell you right now. It's not. This is a hand that really haunted me. I'll just tell you later. I'll just say right now, this hand really bothers me, and I didn't even want to include it because it's a terrible hand. It's really bad.
You're embarrassed about this?
I'm embarrassed, but I'm showing it anyway.
That's a true hero right there.
Okay, so brick on the river. I mean, 4-5 comes in.
Oh, I really thought he was going to raise. He just called.
Yeah. I decided, just to be clear, when I led the turn, I was like, I'm not folding if he raises. I'd already decided. I'm like, there's no way I'm folding. Call it a weird spot, call it whatever you want. I could see him having the ace of clubs, betting the flop because he's betting all flops, turning the nut flush draw and deciding to raise. Looks pretty good, right? So I'm like, there's no chance I'm folding. I'm 100% calling against this player. But he just calls, and then the river's the 3 of clubs, 3 of diamonds, excuse me. So now I'm like, I have a clear bet, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could check call if you think he's going to be bluffy.
Yeah, but it feels like he's got a lot of queens and 9s, and I don't know. You're right. I could check call if I think he's going to be bluffy. But I just felt like my hand is so strong. We're 3-handed. I have top 2. It's amazing. Just have to bet. So I decided to bet. I don't know if this is great. Get ready. It's going to get worse. Oh, don't worry.
Okay, I'm excited for it to get worse. So he's going to raise.
Of course he's going to raise. How else could it get worse? He's going to raise. Here we go. This is awful.
I'm happy to see something.
Enjoy this moment. It's
you
going to
really
be
mess
one you
up.
can hold over me forever.
Are you
He
gonna
makes it 127,000.
Are you gonna shove?
No, no, I'm not that bad. I would never shove here. I would never ever shove here. I will say though, this feels like a pretty clear fold. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time it is.
Yeah. Against certain opponents, you can call for sure. Right? There's certain guys you bet with the plan of calling, right? And then, but I think most of the world that you bet with the plan of folding this hand in this spot on this board, right? Like 4-5 comes in. Not that he's really. The thing that makes me want to fold it in retrospect is here. Let me just show you what happens. I don't fold. I call pretty quickly and lose to the nut flush. Like he flopped a monster actually.
Yeah.
So the thing that makes me want to fold the most in retrospect is when I lead the turn, I look like I have clubs. So I'm actually repping almost a better hand than I have. I'm not trying to. I'm just repping a strong hand, but like it's a bad time for him to decide to start bluffing, I think.
Yeah, when you bet out a flow on the turn and then continue on the river, you don't usually have random bluffs.
I don't. And then it'd be weird for him to suddenly have a bluff, except the ace of clubs blocker bluff, which I don't even know if he's got that play in his arsenal. I have no idea. You know, I know what happened. Like I really thought about it because I was like, that was a bad call. That was a really bad call. And what happened was on the turn, I was so clear what my plan was, which was I am going to call if he raises me. Like I'm not folding. Then when we got to the river, I got raised and I suddenly got like two things happened. One is I was super aware of how little time we have because it's an online tournament. You know, if it was a live tournament, I actually believe I would have taken 4 minutes and folded. I would have had time to really think about it. What am I repping? What does it look like I have? What do I think this player is capable of? I'd ask myself all those questions. Here, I felt the pressure of no time, defaulted to my turn plan, which was I'm not folding if he raises and just click call, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, I've been there. I have to admit.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I had nothing. I had top two, but I don't think he's ever raising a worse hand for value. And so I just am bluff catching, and I don't think he's got many, if any, bluffs at all here. So I think it's a bad play.
I think I agree.
Yeah. All right. So now things are bad. And now we go just 3 hands later. We got 9, 10 of clubs.
Stack. You got 30 blinds.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. Kerry raises. Kerry's been raising almost all of the every chance he gets. So anytime Danny doesn't raise the button, Kerry raises the small blind, which is, fine with me. I feel really comfortable playing in position against Kerry, especially with his wide range and stuff like this. This is obviously a great hand to call with. I could re-raise, I guess, but it plays so well in position. I don't really want to re-raise a hand this good. And that flops so well.
Yeah, I agree.
And then look at that. We flop beautifully, and he checks. Kerry's been checking a lot when we've been playing heads up, whenever we've gotten heads up and I'm in position. So basically at the whole final table when we've been in hands, he's checked a really large percentage of the time. Often in this spot, like small blind to big blind, giving up. Sometimes check calling once and giving up. So I think actually, usually he just check folds here, but it's a super wet board, so who the hell knows? Maybe he's got some check raises in him too, on this kind of a wet board. Anyway, it feels like I've got a pretty clear bet.
Yeah, I think that's obvious.
Yep.
I think you should be betting probably something like, I was going to say 15,000, protect your equity.
Exactly. It's a super wet board. He calls. So now he's got something because he's been check folding a lot. Yeah, I don't think he has like a jack.
You could have a jack. You could have a queen. You could check call a queen on this board if you decided to.
He could. Anyway, a beautiful 2 of hearts. Once again, we're just getting all these bricky turns. So I love my spot right now. He checks again. How do you want to size it?
I think I want to go like 30,000.
Cool. Let's see what I do.
There's a 3.
I go a little bit bigger, but just a little. 34,000. So betting kind of big, basically trying to charge him for the draws. Obviously, I'm never folding to a shove. Like this feels all super straightforward, He calls. River is a bricky 5 of spades. And he moves it.
Oh, no.
Like, how is that card supposed to help him?
So he flopped it? He has like King Jack?
King Jack. That's what it felt like.
Jack 8, maybe.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of that. If you look in the on the bottom left where the chat is, I type in sigh. Hold on, here it comes, sigh, and then I click call because based on the stack to pot, I'm just completely committed with my hand being as good as it is. And it's possible he could have a hand like a super strong queen or aces or kings and maybe play it this way because my stack to pot is, I have less than the pot left. If he's calling anyway, he might want to move in to capture equity from hands that are checking back. I don't know if he's really doing that, but I feel like I have a super straightforward call, even though it seems really like a rough spot. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think you should probably be calling against most players, but it really doesn't feel great.
No, I was pretty sure I was going to be out of the tournament. I'll say that. But it felt like my hand was like, if I had like ace 10, I would fold probably pretty quickly, I think. I'd at least think about it for a long time. Maybe I'd call because all the draws missed, but I don't really think he's going to play a draw like this almost ever. Anyway, I call. He has queen 5 off and rivered me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's how you finished third in the tournament.
That's how I finished third in the tournament. So it was cool to like, if you're going to min cash, it was the biggest min cash like in the history of poker tournaments. That was nice.
Yeah.
But, would have been, I think that queen 9 call really cost me. I think maybe I get screwed by this hand anyway, 3 hands later, whether I make that call on the river or not. I probably am either out or very, very, very short. And probably go out third anyway, but who knows? I mean, it's possible that call with queen 9 cost me the whole thing.
Yeah, and I guess that's your tourney journey, as they say now. It's a new thing that people are saying.